Throughout our entire lives, we have made incredible discoveries that led up to the technologies we have today. Without this curiosity, we would have not had these discoveries. NASA provides us with both of these things to reach to satisfy our curiosities in ways that are much farther than outer space. I'm going to be discussing why NASA deserves more funding. The funding of NASA can also have a long-lasting impact on us, big or small, for years to come. So my credibility in this topic is that I've grown up in Florida. I have gone to Kennedy Space Center more times than I can count, and I have had a fascination with this topic for a long, long time. And I have self-educated myself in many ways on this topic. So some of the topics that I'll be discussing is how NASA is a multicultural industry, how it has a huge influence on the medical field, and how you can also find the impact of NASA on the technologies that we use in our everyday lives. So let us begin by talking about NASA's incredible employees. NASA has a large number of employees that are all across the nation. NASA receives a very diverse group of people to work for them, and they are located in all different states. These states can vary very far, from our own backyard in Florida at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center, all the way to even in Alabama at the JPL Research Rocket Laboratory, which this is an extremely big contrast to most businesses that are in this field, where they are located in one small area and they don't expand outside of that. They work in their area. According to NASA.org, with a large number of employees, it also allows NASA to affect many people. It allows them to gain insight on their workers, and the knowledge that they gain from this also allows them to make more meaningful missions that can benefit more people overall. So not all funding that goes to NASA actually goes to space. A large number of it goes to funding and help of the population and their health. This funding also goes to study diseases and things that are much closer to home. According to the Smithsonian, NASA launches specimens into space to the ISS to see what happens to them with the effects of the sun. But NASA also in the 60s would send up bacteria and small microorganisms in unpressurized containers to see what the effects of zero gravity, no atmosphere, and the effects of the sun's radiation on them would have on them. And surprisingly, over all these tests with all sorts of bacteria and microorganisms, a large number of them would actually come back alive. NASA also has facilities on Earth to study these diseases and the ways they affect life. They test how the bacteria affects the growth of plants on people in multiple different ways. They use this bacteria and they test it under multiple different ways with the elements that are even found here on Earth, such as just how it affected by water, the temperature, or even just plain sunlight. From NASA helping the general population in major topics like diseases, you can also find it in everyday scenarios with the inventions of everyday objects. Many of these things that we find in our everyday lives were actually created from NASA. The original Velcro was created from NASA. Velcro is a material that is used to bind two materials together in a non-permanent way, such as if you needed to attach something to a wall but then reposition it in a few hours. According to JPL, NASA also invented duct tape, the space blanket, and WD-40. Duct tape is a great system that is used by most everyone in multiple different ways. It is a great adhesive and it is very strong. The space blanket was created because it was a very lightweight and cheap problem-solving device. You basically put it on and it basically reflects your own body heat back onto you, and it actually worked surprisingly well. And NASA's created WD-40. Most people think of WD-40, they think of a common lubricant that you can find at any hardware store. But when NASA created it, it was for a much more different purpose. NASA's rockets back in the day had a stainless steel outer coating, and basically if it was not protected, it would rust, and then if it rusted, the rocket would fail. So NASA created WD-40 not as a lubricant, but as a rust disperser, or a water disperser, so the rust wouldn't form. And they basically coat the entire outside of the rocket with this spray. So let us review the impact of NASA and how it has affected people and why its funding should be continued. A large number of employees in a diverse workforce. Use of its knowledge to gain insight on diseases that are affecting the population. And helping the betterment of life and humanity. So one of the things that is not really thought about, but yet has a major impact on humanity in one way is NASA. From the first man to step on the moon, to the first rover to land on Mars, and even the first probe to leave our solar system. We will continue exploring space and making discoveries for years to come because humans are explorers. That is what we do. Our curiosity will never be satisfied. We are always just yearning for adventure and to find the unknown.